This is On the Couch with Dr. K, a show focused on answering the questions of urban and hip-hop adults rising to reach personal stars in daily life. Now, here's your host, Dr. K.
Good afternoon. You are On the Couch with Dr. K, right here on KWAM, AM 990. We are so glad you have joined us for this wonderful Father's Day. And I am in a room full of just exciting men. I have two Marcuses here. And of course, I have Dee, who is always just great. And every time I come into the studio, I always give Dee some sort of issue or problem to handle in exactly 30 seconds. And he does it each and every time. And I'm just always so absolutely pleased. So welcome, Dee. How are you today? Good. Thank you. So we're going to jump right into our topic today. And yes, we are doing this on Father's Day. We have just a lot of men out there who are, quote, not the father. And so our topic today is Mama's Baby, Daddy's Maybe. I know all of us know someone or are someone who has been accused of fathering a child and then go on to later find out that child is not our biological child. And a lot of harm can come from this practice. So today we're going to explore that. But before we get into that, we will introduce our guests. So we first have Mr. Marcus Matthews, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
My name is Marcus Matthews. I'm the author of I'm Not the Father, Narratives of Men Falsely Accused of Paternity. I released that book in 2010, which was my story, along with 4 more stories of men who were falsely accused of paternity. I recently released the documentary, I Am Not the Father, as well. The documentary took a deeper look into paternity fraud. We talked to some other guys who were not in the book to be a part of the documentary and talk about their experience of paternity fraud. I'm also pursuing a doctorate in higher education, study access and retention in higher ed for African-American males. And I'm also working on a couple of deals production-wise. I'm working with a network who wants to do I Am Not the Father series, TV series. Wow. We haven't inked it yet, so I'm not going to say the name of the TV network. And I'm also working with a publisher to do a re-release of the book, I Am Not the Father. Yeah. So.
Wow. Yes, you have been busy, but all of that sounds really, really good. I know I saw the trailer. Marcus sent me the trailer for the documentary, and I thought, wow, this is really hot. And so that really made me excited to have you on here because I didn't even realize, number one, how this problem is just so large, especially here in the Mid-South. And then number two, just how deeply it affects not only the two people involved, but also their families. So,
yeah. It's really interesting, when you look at the entire dynamic of the situation. Right. When a guy is falsely accused. And it's not just about the false accusation of the guy. Right. It's about a child who may never know who his father is. It's about a woman who doesn't know or is willing to openly lie about who she's having sex with, so it's a lot that goes into this.
There are a lot of underlying issues with this topic. So we're going to let you tell your story a little bit more after we introduce our next Marcus Warren.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm glad to be here. I thank you for inviting me and Marcus L. to tell our stories.
Good. I'm glad you're here. And so tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I have my own property management business. I do a lot of that around town. I do a lot of promotions for, different things going on around town. I do a lot of, networking on the social scene. I also, work a 9 to 5 at a place which will remain nameless.
I understand.
But I am one of the featured men on the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Marcus from just being out on the social scene, but when he came out with the book, and I found out what the book was for, the next time I ran into him, I had to pull him to the side and said, "Look, I went through the same thing that you went through," and I told him my story. He said, "Look, you got to tell your story on this documentary because a lot of people, including his students, felt as if my story was so compelling that they wanted to meet me. So, I came, to the school to meet them and talk to them. And just like you said earlier, it can really break a man down to go through all of this. And at the end, you're not the father.
Right.
And I believe my story and Marcus's story ended in a way unlike the other men in the documentary because, it was not a happy ending.
Right.
In Matthew's case, the young lady, the mother of the child died in a car crash before the paternity test came back. Because back then, paternity tests weren't the way that they are now, where you can go in and get your mouth swab and the baby swab,
like they do on paternity
test
Tuesday.
Then paternity test Tuesday, and come back the next week, find out with it. Back then, we're talking about the late 90s.
Right.
Those paternity tests took like 3 to 4 months. You had to draw blood, you had to take pictures, you had to do all these things. And in my situation, unfortunately, the child died before my paternity test came back. But it was a lot of conflict. It was a lot of messy stuff between me and the mother. We were constantly at each other's throats. About the fact that I felt in my heart, and I knew that I was not the father, and I had reason to believe that she was involved with somebody else around the same time.
Okay.
And I was like, wait a minute, no, the time frames don't match up. You say when? No. So of course she wasn't having it, and things got ugly at a certain point. So it was and like you said earlier, people don't understand how it not only affects you and her, but your family, her family, because of course she did not tell her side of the family about the fact that there was a doubt, because according to what she told her side of the family, that's him, and that's all they knew.
Right.
And they treated me nice, And it's hard to be nice with some people who are treating you nice, but you don't understand the real story, and you don't want to say nothing. You don't want to be like, look, I appreciate you being nice to me, but what you don't realize
is this is not happening
your niece,
the way it's stated.
Your niece, your daughter, your granddaughter is
ratchet.
Right.
I understand.
It's a life-changing experience. It's a very eye-opener,
right,
as far as being conscious about who you get involved with. And, that's why I was trying to, when I came to school to speak to Marcus's students, I said the same thing, you get involved in college and you get college life, partying and messing around, and you really have to be conscious about who you mess around with.
I totally agree. And that is a great point. And I think that today's show is going to be so important to really talk about the emotional side of this issue, and to really talk about not only the financial impact, but the emotions that both the men and the women go through. And we're going to hear your story right after this first break. You're listening to On the Couch with Dr. K right here on AM 90 KWAM. If you want to give us a call, ask a question, or make a comment, dial 901-260-5926. I am your hostess, Dr. K.
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Get down, girl, gon' ahead, get down. Get down, girl, gon' ahead, get down. Get down, girl, gon' ahead, get down. Get down, girl, gon' ahead. 18 years She got one of your kids, got you for 18 years. I know some.
Now you can listen and watch too. Go to our website to listen online and see our studio cam, kwam990.com.
Streeter's Total Beauty is a hair salon that invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of beauty today. Dial 901-649-0559. Look to Randa Patton Streeter's lifestyle blog, which also invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of high fashion and glamour. Like her on Facebook today. For legal experience with a Christian touch, call the law offices of attorneys Juliet Akins and Victoria Gillard. We stop foreclosures and repossessions. Other areas of our practice include personal injury, civil and criminal matters, divorce, child support, child custody, and Social Security cases. Call today at 901-522-0009 or 901-624-8852 for a free consultation. Photography is so much better than reality. Marcus Edward Mediascape is a great photographer. Instead of purchasing plastic surgery, let him do all of your photos today. Try Marcus Edward. He is the plastic surgeon of photographers. Contact Marcus today at www.memediascape.webs.com. Are you considering buying or selling a home and don't know where to start? Call Sharon Brown of Cry-Like Realtors at 901-355-7271. To learn more about the services offered by Sharon Brown, visit her on the web at www.sharonbrown.cry-like.com or like her on Facebook today. Her success comes when your home is sold or you have the keys to your new home. Call Sharon Brown of Cry-Like Realtors at 901-355-7271 for all your real estate needs today.
Ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head. 18 years, she got one of your kids, got you for 18 years. I know.
And you're back right here on the couch with Dr. K on AM 990 KWAM. If you'd like to participate in this conversation, give us a call at 901-260-5926. And I want to thank Marion, who gave me the suggestion for the song today. It's absolutely perfect. And it says exactly what we are talking about today. 18 years you're paying child support, and you find out on the child's 18th birthday that child is not yours. And then it talks about women who are gold diggers. And sometimes I believe that some women will choose the man who is the most financially secure or who appears to have the brightest future to just be the chosen one who is the person they call the biological father. So that leads us into your story, Marcus. So tell us about your story, well, Marcus Matthews.
my story started back in 1997. I met a young lady, and we dated, exchanged phone numbers. I was a senior in high school at that point, and she was a junior, and we ended up having a sexual relationship. She got pregnant, told me that she was pregnant. And once we confirmed the pregnancy, she instantly invited me to meet her family. And like you said, we didn't really get the chance to hold a conversation about, what else have you been doing? Why do you feel like this is my child kind of deal? And she told her family she was a virgin, but in our conversations with one another, I knew that she wasn't a virgin. So, with that being the case, I was definitely curious about the paternity. I wasn't in a position where I was just going to take her word and run with it, that this was my child. And she gave birth to the child. After she gave birth, I went to get a paternity test. We all went downtown to juvenile court, and we had to wait. At that time, it was 6 weeks to get our results back. And as we were waiting on the test results, the young lady died in a car crash. the mother of the child, the girl whom I had been dating. And I was at her funeral with the young baby at this time who was not even 6 months yet. And when we did go back to court, we found out that the child was not mine. And in my case, with me knowing that she had been untruthful with her parents about her sexual history, then I definitely felt like she would be untruthful with me as well about her sexual history. But I didn't want to necessarily put her on Front Street, as we say. You know, I felt like, well, when the test results return, if the child is mine, then I can move forward with my responsibility. And if the child is not mine, you know, then she would have to deal with, you know, the repercussions and, you know, identify, you know, the baby's father biologically. So I'm a big believer that things come out in time, you know, and that the time allows things to come to the surface. So I was allowing her the time to either be honest with me or be honest with her family or, you know, be honest with somebody. But unfortunately, she lost her life before she was able to clear that situation up. And that's a real dangerous situation. You know, I think about the child now who's 15 years old, you know, and 15 years, she has never known her mother. 15 years old, she still may not know who her father is. So it's sad, you know, and at that time, thinking back now, people always ask me, you know, Marcus, why do you think she lied to you? You know, why do you think she chose you? And the best thing I can come up with, I had a bright future ahead of myself, you know.
Right.
I'm almost a doctor now. I'm one paper away from being a doctor now. And in the neighborhood I grew up in, Fraser, a lot of people didn't go to college. I already had college scholarship offers academically. I had opportunities to play basketball. So, you know, my future was bright. And I was a respectful kid. My parents raised me to be respectful of women and everybody. So I think that I was probably the best candidate for the job.
Right.
And, you know, I've talked to students on the high school and the university level, different young men, about knowing yourself and looking at yourself through the next person's eyes. You know, sometimes we can just look at ourselves through our own eyes. Oh, I'm just a guy from North Memphis, you know, trying to make a living, you know, but to someone looking on, you know, they say, oh, you know, this is somebody with a,
You're a great catch.
Right.
Right.
And young men have to recognize that, you know, especially in every case, you have to look at yourself as others look at you.
Right. I can understand that. And, you know, I think that when you made that mention about in your neighborhood, not a lot of people went to college. And when I read about you, and this is part getting into my stats and facts for today, Stanley Shotwell Jr., who is my super intelligent intern. Thank you, Stanley. Got this information for me, and it's from an article dated February 16th, 2012. And this is from the Memphis Flyer magazine. And it has a statement in there about mothers saying to their daughters, well, if you don't know who the father is, just choose the best one. As if it's not something that really has a lot of negative repercussions in it. And then within that magazine article, it also talks about now men are starting to sue women because of this. And what was the term you used for it?
Paternity fraud.
Paternity fraud. So do you know of any people who've actually filed any paternity fraud lawsuits?
Yeah, we actually had a case to go to the Tennessee Supreme Court in 2012. And this gentleman actually won money back.
Wow.
So that precedent was set, and it's the expectation that more men will start looking for legal
a legal out for this, some sort of legal vindication for this type of behavior. And I certainly understand that. And also in that article, it gives a statistic. About 17% of all paternity tests reveal that a child's alleged father is not, in fact, the biological father. However, in Tennessee, that statistic is almost double. 25% of paternity testing reveals the man not to be the biological father, and that's according to the Department of Human Services. And earlier this year, we talked about, can you have true love, especially in this economy? And when I hear that statistic, it makes me think about how many women are poor here in the Mid-South and why they would blame a star like yourself for being the father, because you have a lot of women here who are poor. We have a caller. Hi, you're on the couch with Dr. K. How are you?
I'm fine, Dr. K. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. You have a question or a comment?
I have a comment.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say Happy Father's Day to the fathers on the show. Second of all, I really don't want to reveal my name or whatever, but I kind of went through the same situation.
Okay.
I was a mom, and at the time, I didn't know who my child's father was.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my daughter is 14 now, and we found out when she was 11, and it broke up the family. It broke up both sides of the family, my family, his family, because, we went through 14 years of thinking, this child belongs to such and such. And, it was devastating to everybody to find out that the child didn't really belong to, particular person in that family. And, I had to be very apologetic, of my actions, because what's done in the dark eventually it'll come to the light. And I had to think about my child, how does my child really feel? And at that point, when my child found out, she was very hurt. Of course, she didn't really believe it. She didn't believe that the man that she grew up with was not her father, because of the relationship, and she thought that she looked like him and she looked like the rest of the family, but, the truth of the matter is she did not belong to them. But through the grace of God, he's still there. He's still supportive in her life. They talk all the time, and he's still playing that father role.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. And, although I know it sounds like it's a heavy story and it weighs heavily on you, that story will free someone else, because we've all made mistakes in life. And the fact that you're brave enough to tell your story again so someone can hear it and learn from it, that will bring good things to you in the future. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope you continue to listen. Thank you so much. And you have a good day.
Thank you so much.
I want to echo those comments, young lady. It takes a lot of strength to admit when you're wrong. And a lot of people never get to that point in their lives. You have people who live their entire lives in denial, making excuses for why they did certain things. So it definitely took a lot of strength for you to do that. If we could possibly get your information, I don't know if the producer can get it or not. Is she gone?
Yeah, she's off. She's listening.
Okay, great. If you could call back up here, I'm working on a few projects now, and I could definitely help you help more people. So if you're willing to do that, I would really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much. And getting to your comment, caller, you talked about how your daughter didn't believe that the person you said was her father was not her father. And I can believe that, because another stat and fact here, I want to just talk about the steps of bereavement. Because when you find out the man who has been your father for however, or if you're a father and you thought a child was yours, even for a day, a minute, or several years, you have to go, it's like a death. So you have to go through the steps of bereavement. And we can be bereaved anything, the loss of a job, the loss of a child, the loss of a way of life, the loss of a wish. And in general, there are about 5 steps to this. The first step is shock. You cannot believe this is happening. You know, I can't believe that this happened to me, in fact, over something small. I could not believe that the price of a public telephone call had gone up to, I think, 50 cents. So I walked up to this public telephone, I picked it up, and I'm trying to dial and put in the money. And this has been some years ago. And my first step was shock. What? I can't believe that the cost has gone up. Secondly, the next step was disbelief. No, this can't be true. This has to be wrong. And it happens to all of us. Then the third step is bargaining. Okay, God, well, now if I do it this time, will you just let it go through this time, and then next time I'll make sure I have the correct amount of money. Then the next step is anger. What? I can't believe they're just hiking up the price on everything. And then finally we get to acceptance. I had to go ask somebody for some more change to make the telephone call. But we all go through all of those steps, and sometimes it's very quick, sometimes it takes a long time. But that is one thing that occurs when we're talking about this false paternity. Several people end up going through what we call the steps of bereavement, and we can only hope and pray that you're able to get through it relatively quickly so you can move on, because we all know that hurt people hurt people.
What you said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What you said.
Hurt people. And so a lot of women, especially African-American women, walk around talking about how doggish men are. But then we don't look to see, well, what turned this absolutely fantastic guy into a dog? Maybe he was hurt by a situation like this, didn't get over it, and now he's hurt out there hurting other people. You look like you have something to say.
Yeah, the interesting thing with that is, in a false paternity situation, it's usually a quote-unquote good guy who's being targeted.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got, Johnny who's headed to college and little poo-poo, who selling weed on the corner, and these are the 2 guys you dating, you're not going to say poo-poo, this your kid.
Right, exactly, because he's going to be like, whatever.
Right. Poo-poo might not be there for their child support.
Right, exactly.
And little Johnny will be. So, it's exactly what you said, when you have the so-called or what we look to be high-quality individuals are being targeted with paternity fraud. I mean, and if you look at, Idris Elba just got through dealing with this situation. Justin Bieber just dealt with this situation. Michael Jackson wrote Billie Jean.
Exactly.
Because women were trying to put kids on his older brothers. You know what I'm saying?
And I heard this actually happened to Neo, that, the child was old and he was there fathering the kid and found out much later the child was not his.
Yeah, it's an epidemic. It's an epidemic. One of the guys in my book, he had the child in his home, and the child was a junior. He named the little boy after him, and had custody of this child, and found out that. So, and oftentimes, women they know who they're targeting in many of those cases.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to find out some of the comments some of my Facebook fans left earlier this week when we come back from this next break. Before we go into it, however, I do want to just talk a little bit about, you talked about the neighborhood you came from in Fraser, and I know sometimes people are out there and they're looking to move to a new neighborhood, to get a new house, and Sharon Brown of Cry Like Realty is one of my sponsors, and we decided that we would actually talk about some of the homes available to some of our listeners every week. So this week, we have just listed 2635 Breezy Ridge, located in the Cordova area, and it's offered by Cry Like Realtors. It's super clean, it's move-in ready, well-maintained. It's a 4-bedroom or 3-bedroom and bonus with closet. It has 2.5 bathrooms, an open floor plan with high ceilings, fresh interior paint, vinyl plank, water-resistant wood grain flooring, all for $156,500. So make sure you contact Sharon Brown at 901-372-3690, extension 1013, or call or text her at 901-355-7271 to set up a private showing today. So let's go to break. We'll come back and find out what our Facebook listeners have to say. If you want to join in on this conversation, give us a call at 901-260-5926. You're on the couch with Dr. K. I'm your hostess, Dr. K, right here on AM 990 KWAM.
Get down, girl, go ahead. 18 years, she got one of your kids, got you for 18 years. I know somebody paying child support for one.
AM 990 is now available on your Android mobile device. Go to the Google Play Store and search for KWAM.
Are you considering buying or selling a home and don't know where to start? Call Sharon Brown of Twilight Realtors at 901-355-7271. To learn more about the services offered by Sharon Brown, visit her on the web at www.sharonbrown.cry-like.com or like her on Facebook today. Her success comes when your home is sold or you have the keys to your new home. Call Sharon Brown of Cry Like Realtors at 901-355-7271 for all your real estate needs today. For legal experience with a Christian touch, call the law offices of attorneys Juliet Akins and Victoria Gillard. We stop foreclosures and repossessions. Other areas of our practice include personal injury, civil and criminal matters, divorce, child support, child custody, and social security cases. Call today at 901-522-0009 or 901-624-8852 for a free consultation. Photography is so much better than reality. Marcus Edward Mediascape is a great photographer. Instead of purchasing plastic surgery, let him do all of your photos today. Try Marcus Edward. He is the plastic surgeon of photographers. Contact Marcus today at www.memediascape.webs.com. Streeter's Total Beauty is a hair salon that invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of beauty today. Dial 901-649-0559. Look to Randa Patton Streeter's lifestyle blog, which also invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of high fashion and glamour. Like her on Facebook today.
None of y'all say I still love her. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Get down, girl, gon' ahead, get down. Get down, girl, gon' ahead, get down. Get down, girl, gon' ahead, get down. Get down, girl, gon' ahead. 18 years, she got one of your kids, got you for 18 years. I know
we're back. You're listening to On the Couch with Dr. K, and I almost hate to play that 18 years every time, because every time I hear it, it feels like the heat in here gets hotter. Like people start thinking about all that money they paid for 18 years. So hate to keep bringing up a hurtful situation, but it's important for everybody to know how hurtful this can be. And Eric from Facebook says, in these days, if you are not, quote, married and don't know your, quote, spouse, you don't know. Real talk. And that's true. Erica says, hurt people. Well said. So I hear we have a caller. Hi, caller. You're on the couch with Dr. K. You have a question or a comment?
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
I wanted to ask about, what has been some of the biggest barriers that he's seen with, what have been some of the biggest barriers that he's seen with the politicians in moving legislation forward for compulsory DNA testing?
Wow.
Well,
okay.
We had a state representative here in the state of Tennessee put a bill together, and basically it just hasn't gained acceptance. We look at, really, it gets down to how do you win financially in this situation? And the government wants their money. If you're not the father, but you're asked to pay, okay, that's money that the government doesn't have to spend. But if we don't find this father, now the government has to pay for the well-being of this child. So even though it's not in the best interest of the child emotionally, psychologically, just because it may seem to be in the best interest of the particular state financially, that legislation is having problems going through. And the end result is, even if you are not the father, you're still paying. You're still paying that money. And we're trying to gain traction. I've been asked to go and speak to the legislature. That's an offer that I accepted. Whenever I get back in touch with Representative G.A. Hardaway is actually the representative who introduced that bill initially. He's been trying to move that through.
Okay. You know, and also when I read in your article, it says that whether you are the father or not, if you sign the birth certificate, then you are held responsible for that child.
A lot of people don't know what a birth certificate really is.
Well, tell us.
A birth certificate is an acknowledgement of paternity. So it's just like adopting a child. When you sign that birth certificate, you are saying, yes, this is my child. You're not saying, yeah, this is my girlfriend. You know, you're not saying, yes, I slept with this woman when you sign a birth certificate. So, you know, the advice is do not sign the birth certificate if there is doubt.
Right.
If you plan on getting a DNA test, if you're uncertain, and my personal opinion, if you're not married, don't sign it.
That sounds like a good piece of advice. Caller, I want to thank you for calling in. Please continue to listen. And if those of you out there want to participate in this conversation, give us a call at 901-260-KWAM, 901-260-5926. And, you know, when you're talking about that and people are looking at the birth certificate and now you're all coming together and you're buying baby clothes and having all of these, you know, baby showers, and the two people aren't married, it seems like it's all out of order anyway. And I think, Marcus, did you talk about that in the documentary? I thought I saw something about that in the trailer.
Yeah, I did, because I made that mistake. And I wish somebody like Marcus Matthews or somebody else would have given me that advice before I signed that birth certificate.
Oh,
and
okay.
Because I thought I was doing the right thing.
Right.
And, you know, like I said, in my case, unfortunately, the child passed before the paternity test came back. So, I mean, at that point, regardless of whether or not I signed it or didn't, it didn't matter because the child was gone.
Right.
But
okay.
Here's the kicker. The child was born premature.
Okay.
So he spent all of his life in intensive care at Levana.
Okay.
Doctor bills racked up.
Right.
He had 2 open heart surgeries.
Okay.
So she tried to hit me with that.
Wow.
After the child passed. So even after the child passed, there was still trauma. And the paternity test still had not come back.
Wow.
So, like he just said, do not sign that birth certificate if you have any inkling of a doubt.
Well, see, what you have to remember is the birth certificate is a legal document.
Right.
So you don't sign any legal documents without the information you need to make an educated decision.
Right.
You know, if you have if you're an artist, you know, you don't sign that record deal until your attorney reads the record deal. Right. So it's the same with a birth certificate.
Right.
If you don't have the documentation to verify that this is your child, then you don't sign a legal document that says this is my child.
Right. And I had to learn that the hard way.
Wow. That you know, and even though it ended up where you were not the father, still we have to look at how much is paid in just emotional hardship. Right. Because what I hear you saying is not only did you have to go through the actual bereavement process of the child dying, you had to go through the bereavement process of your not being the father. Right. Then you had to go through the hardship of now even fighting to kind of prove to the court system that you signed this document without the accurate amount of knowledge to really make an educated decision about what you were doing.
Right.
So that's a lot to really go through. And I think that should lead us into our 4-point star for today. And this segment is sponsored by the Memphis Stars magazine, available at your local Kroger stores. On the Couch with Dr. K will be featured this month in the magazine. And the Memphis Stars magazine is a place where everyday people can be stars. So we all want to be proud papas. Nobody wants a daddy who doesn't want to be a daddy. We want men who want to be proud papas. That's papa spelled P-A-P-A. Let's say that together. Papa. P-A-P-A. The first P. First of all, you want to, and let me find my little notes here for my papas. First of all, you want to pay attention to your partner. Pay attention to the people you're dating. Look at this girl. See if she is a truthful person. Is she dating other people? Pay attention to your sexual practices. Are you getting so involved that you're, and we all out there say we practice safe sex, but sometimes it's not really all that safe. It may start off safe and end up really unsafe, or, you start off the relationship in a safe way, and then after it has occurred for a while, it becomes unsafe. So that first P, pay attention to your partner, pay attention to your dating and sex practices. A, always, if there is a question, and you've already stated this, always get a paternity test in a non-marriage relationship. But I would even add, if you're in a marriage and there has been some disconnect there, you may want to do the same thing. So, A, always get a paternity test. P, pursue counseling for yourself, your family, and the child, because this is a traumatic situation. You've gone through a bereavement, you've gone through a trauma, you have an emotional scar. That child may have an emotional scar. The family may have emotional scars. And the only way you can heal that is not only through time, but sometimes you have to have a healing. You have to have an intervention. Some trusted person you can talk these issues through so that you can get to a point where you feel better and you're able to move on to a brighter day, so that you can, A, allow yourself time to heal and forgive. Because if you don't reach that healing and that forgiveness, you will forever have that bitterness. And now we've taken a perfectly good and wonderful man, woman, or child, and they are walking around as a wounded person who is hurting other people. So we have to do whatever it takes to get to that point where we can heal and we can forgive. That is our 4-point star for today. We're going to have one more break right here from KWAM on the Couch with Dr. K, AM 990. If you'd like to get a call in our last few minutes, 901-260-KWAM.
I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Get down, girl, gon' ahead, get down. Get down, girl, gon' ahead, get down.
Follow AM 990 KWAM on Twitter. KWAM 990 Memphis.
Photography is so much better than reality. Marcus Edward Mediascape is a great photographer. Instead of purchasing plastic surgery, let him do all of your photos today. Try Marcus Edward. He is the plastic surgeon of photographers. Contact Marcus today at www.memediascape.webs.com. Streeter's Total Beauty is a hair salon that invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of beauty today. Dial 901-649-0559. Look to Randa Patton Streeter's lifestyle blog, which also invites you to enjoy a lifestyle full of high fashion and glamour. Like her on Facebook today. Are you considering buying or selling a home and don't know where to start? Call Sharon Brown of Cry Realtors at 901-355-7271. To learn more about the services offered by Sharon Brown, visit her on the web at www.sharonbrown.cry-like.com or like her on Facebook today. Her success comes when your home is sold or you have the keys to your new home. Call Sharon Brown of Cry Realtors at 901-355-7271 for all your real estate needs today. For legal experience with a Christian touch, call the law offices of attorneys Juliet Akins and Victoria Gillard. We stop foreclosures and repossessions. Other areas of our practice include personal injury, civil and criminal matters, divorce, child support, child custody, and social security cases. Call today at 901-522-0009 or 901-624-8852 for a free consultation.
18 years, and on her 18th birthday, found out it wasn't his. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger.
And we are back. This is a really hot topic. I have just a studio full of people here. We've been talking even through the break and just talking about how, you know, if you don't know who your real father is, how even in dating situations in the future, people can end up dating close relatives. It can also be a problem with, you know, maybe some biological needs. You have a man who thinks he's the father of this child and he can give them a kidney or a blood transfusion. And now the doctor comes back to say, no, you can't because you are not the father. And so we have a question. Go ahead, Mr. Stanley Shotwell.
My question is how feasible would it be to have a law enacted whereas every child that's born automatically go through a DNA process to make certain that this child belongs to the mother and the father? I wonder how feasible that is.
Well, any thoughts about that? Do you have any thoughts about that, Marcus Matthews?
Yeah, it would definitely incur costs, you know, and I think we have to really ask the question, you know, what's more important, cutting costs or building families? And our country is built on families. You know, the most difficult times that we've had in our country have been times when families were destroyed. If you go back to slavery, the family was destroyed, the country was weak. When we started building families, then the country got a lot stronger. Now we're going through another period of weakness. If you look at the educational system, how it's struggling, we don't have strong families to support kids. We send kids to school who don't know the ABCs yet. So how can we build families? If we start helping families identify themselves and put them together, then in the long run, we help ourselves. But in the short run, yeah, it's gonna cost. It would incur a cost to do that.
And also, I believe too that some people, and I'm sure, you know, children who are adopted or you have adoptive families would say that family is what you make of it. It's not always about the blood or the biology, but I think it has to do with if you know that and you volunteer for that. That's one thing rather than, you know, if you've been tricked into it.
I was just fortunate to be raised by my biological parents.
Right.
And I can look at my dad and listen to him, and I see myself. I hear myself.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, another man could have definitely, you know, showed me how to ride a bike and taught me values. But there are some things that I get by looking at my dad that I can't get anywhere else. Right. So if we have an opportunity to connect children with their biological families, and then, like you said, there are mental sometimes issues that are genetic. There's so many positive things, so many things that come from knowing your biology that, and I definitely, you know, my hat goes off to so many single moms. And you have those situations sometimes where a mom will say, well, I don't want you to know who your dad is.
Right. That's,
you know, that's not healthy. I compare it to a boxer with one arm.
Okay.
You can beat somebody up with your right hand if your right is good enough. Right.
Yes.
But if you got your right and your left, now you're in a position to really win this boxing match.
Exactly.
And that's the way a family should be. You know, you have the mother and the father Now you're in a better position to rear this child the way you want to rear this child, as opposed to saying, you know what, I'm the mama and the daddy. I saw some stuff on Facebook.
I know.
Yeah,
like
see,
saying Happy Father's Day to mothers.
Right, and you know what? That gets on my last nerve. I mean, Mother's Day is such an extravagant holiday. It's so much pomp and circumstance going on for Mother's Day. And then when Father's Day comes around, it's like, yay, it's Father's Day. Hey, happy Father's Day.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, and, you know, it's a lot of the fathers do not get credit.
Amen.
You know,
that is very true.
You know, just like
Very
Chris
true.
Rock said on his stand-up show not so long ago, it's always a song about your mama. I love my mama.
Right.
Mama this, mama that.
Exactly.
Did you tell your mama to look pretty today? You better tell your mama. You
Right.
know, but the only song for fathers is Papa was a Rolling Stone. Come
Yes,
on, man.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Papa didn't take no mess.
Right.
All that kind of stuff.
you know.
Right.
So it's like fathers don't get a lot of credit, and it discourages a lot of single fathers. And because I know a lot of single fathers,
Right.
and it's like, you know, you single women, sit down somewhere. Let the real fathers who step up to the plate and who have been there with their children since day one, let them have their day. Don't ruin it because y'all not in a relationship no more,
Right.
and you can't stand him no more. And every time you see your child, you look at him, you see his dad, you be like, I can't stand you.
Right.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
And you know what?
Dead wrong.
That leads, we are actually going to have a show about single fathers versus single mothers. Who parents the best? And I will not allow people to come in here with boxing gloves. We are going to have a civil conversation about that issue because it is an issue. And we do discount fatherhood a lot. I was blessed to have an absolutely fantastic father. And I know how very important a father's life can be, not only for a son, but for a daughter as well. Just like a mother is important to a son and a daughter. But since it's my show and I get to have the last comment, I can say this to men. Men, what has to happen also is we have to start thinking about what in our society makes a woman feel like she needs to lie about her sexual history. Men don't lie about their sexual history, but something happens. That shame and that guilt comes in that makes that woman feel pressured to lie. And so we might want to start thinking about what we're doing as a society that would even create that need to have the lie in the first place. And as always, in parting, I want to wish you a life full of love, peace, and happiness. Yes, we have 30 seconds.
Yes, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, 30 seconds. I just want to say Happy Father's Day to my father, George Warren. Love you very much.
Wonderful.
www.marcuslmatthews.com. Purchase the book and the documentary today. Thank you.
All right, good. So with that, my love, peace, and happiness. If you can't be in love, try to be happy. If you cannot be happy, then at least try to be peaceful. But if your peace has been disturbed, then you need to change your situation. Have a great Father's Day. You've been listening to On the Couch with Dr. K, right here on AM 990 KWAM. Don't forget to like us at Facebook, On the Couch with Dr. K.
Something that you need to have, 'cause when she leave, she gon' leave.